What's up, you guys? I'm not amazing, I'm just mediocre. Welcome back to the channel and this Apex Legends video, and today we're going to be discussing the final comic that we received for the Season 6 quest in Apex Legends. But before we get into that comic, we're just going to refresh our memories of what has happened up until this point. We kicked off this season with Wraith trying to convince Mirage that he should let Rampart join up in his shop, and also discovering that Pathfinder has a girlfriend. And this became kind of like the crux of the entire season quest. The bet between Mirage and Rampart over whether or not Pathfinder's girlfriend ended up being a psycho. It's mentioned by Wraith in the first comics that the finances of the Paradise Lounge, Mirage's bar, are in the red and not looking good at all, and she insists that he should have a roommate, and therefore Rampart wants to set up her shop there. But for some reason or another, Mirage just doesn't want this. He doesn't want anybody else involved in his shop. It's not really explained why, but he just doesn't want Rampart involved in the Paradise Lounge. However, they are convinced of opposite truths when it comes to Pathfinder's girlfriend. Rampart thinks it's pretty romantic. Mirage, thinks the opposite, and so they make a deal that if the lady turns out to be crazy, Mirage wins and he gets a free mod, and if it's not crazy, well then Rampart actually gets to move into the shop. And then in the next few comics, we find out a little bit more about Pathfinder's new girlfriend, and it turns out to be a character that we already know. In fact, it's the one we put back together at the end of the season quest in Season 5, and that's Ash, a character from Titanfall 2, which also becomes an important factor a little bit later in these comics. Well, Mirage and Rampart are hanging out here, and Mirage kind of pulls Pathfinder off to the side to kind of ask him what's going on. And then Pathfinder actually gives him the lowdown on how he came across Ash and became, partners with her. He apparently felt bad for Ash after watching her get put together and seeing her so disoriented, and found her stranded out behind a Hammond Robotics building. He recovered her body and then reassembled her, giving her new legs, arms, and even a sword, and then decided to have her keep company. And since she was, just like him, a robot who woke up without any memory of her past. However, that memory is quickly restored. She has some sort of mental break, and it's not clear if this is actually just her screaming or if something electrical went off in her head, but it freaks out Mirage and Rampart and they both leave. However, at this moment, she recovers all of her memories and then makes a connection. A communication line is suddenly opened to an unknown person who we'll talk about in just a moment. So after Mirage and Rampart duck out of Pathfinder's warehouse, they end up going back to Wraith and trying to argue their sides that they both think they won the bet. And Wraith has to sit there and try to mediate the both of them, and she never wanted to get involved in this in the first place, and she's kind of sick and tired of their bickering, and just basically proclaims in the end that they both won. That Rampart has to give Mirage the mod, and that Mirage has to let Rampart stay in the shop, so that each end up getting what they want. And then there's also the very important mention about a syndicate courier coming in by for our gear, that everybody seems to be prepping for some upcoming matches. And it's specifically mentioned that they're not going to be gone very long, and it's not exactly stated where they're going either. Meanwhile, back at Pathfinder's warehouse, Pathfinder goes out to go prepare his own supplies for these upcoming matches when that voice that Ash was talking to shows back up, and it turns out to be Blisk, another character from the history of Titanfall 2, who was in fact a member of Blisk's, or Ash was a member of Blisk's mercenary group, the Apex Predators. And then we get a flashback scene where Blisk describes how he, for some reason, had to actually put Ash into the portal. He was the reason that Ash was in the Shadow Realm in the first place. And now that she's back and has her memory and opened a communication line, he mentions that there's someone from their history who's returned back from the past and that they need to take care of an old friend. And the only person that many people can think of is Jack Cooper. So we didn't actually get any resolution to that storyline in this comic. We did find out that poor Pathfinder had a note left behind for him from Ash, talking about how she really appreciated how Pathfinder entered her existence exactly when she needed help, and that she was grateful for that. However, in the end, she turned out to be right, that Ash was not Pathfinder's friend, and that in fact their paths were no longer meant to be together. So she left her sword behind and a note for Pathfinder, and even like in this note she actually talks about how she's not used to having emotions related to other people. She's not used to caring about someone the way that she kind of started to care about Pathfinder. However, she ended up leaving with Blisk anyway, and Pathfinder is left pretty distraught. Then we go back to the Paradise Lounge, where Mirage and Rampart are hanging out, and Rampart noticed that Mirage is already packed and is kind of shocked at this. And Mirage talks about how the courier came by and picked up Rampart's stuff too. However, Rampart doesn't seem to be very happy, and it turns out that Mirage in fact sent away everything of hers. Every single thing she needed, her new workbench, all the stuff she needed to get back on her feet. And for some reason or another, Mirage had it sent away on a courier ship. And I don't know why this part is really confusing for me. And I'm gonna express some disappointment in this storyline, because they make Mirage out to be either a complete idiot or a total like jerk to have sent away her stuff like that. And then it doesn't, like, is there no way they can get that stuff back? I don't know. Altogether, I have to be totally honest, I'm very disappointed with these comics. The developers told us they were really excited about how we were gonna get see visuals of planets and stuff that we could only ever imagine before. And 90% of the time, we were either in the back of Mirage's bar or inside Pathfinder's warehouse. And even then, half of those backgrounds were just literally blank colors and not even like walls or floors with anything. Like, it really seemed like they put as little effort into this as possible. And they even had a ton of filler frames. Like, in the second to last comic, there's like 5 filler frames of Blisk pulling out his cigar and lighting it on fire. Like, we didn't need all that. They could have given us something so much better, and I'm really not excited to wait another month and a half to find out where this story goes. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. In the meantime, I'm not amazing, I'm just mediocre, and I'm out.